Mira Business FM. The sound of success.
It's been 4 days of very, very unusual circumstances, not entirely unexpected given the military build-up we've all been aware of, but shocking nonetheless. And as you'd expect, investors are asking whether this affects the city's stability, long-term prospects. Are buyers hesitating when it comes to real estate? Will we begin to see transaction delays, particularly in off-plan projects, until the situation becomes clearer? So this morning, an on-the-ground view of how agents, developers and investors are reacting in real time. Mario Volpi is the Senior VP for Investment Advisory at Allegiance Real Estate and joins me in the studio. Mario, nice to see you.
Good morning, Tim. Good morning to all the listeners.
I suppose better circumstances would have been a nice thing, but this is the way it is now. How have you been, first of all?
Yeah, look, like everybody else, I was shocked, I guess, at the events that unfolded from Saturday afternoon. This feels so much different to what's been going on around the region for us. Clearly, it's the first time we've been directly involved. And with that, my emotions were from anger, to be honest with you. As to why this was happening, because I knew that as a result of the events, that it would impact me and in fact the city, the Emirate, from a business point of view as well. Talking about real estate, which is my life. We are real estate to a greater degree is based on sentiment, and that then. Success breeds success, and people talk about it, and one person buys and talks about it, and another person buys, and that's where the sentiment comes in. And when you have something like this, I think it's devastating, and it's uncharted territory. But I have every faith in. In fact, I didn't know how amazing the UAE's defense systems were, and obviously I have every faith in it. I saw something online that, in fact, there are 6 different layers to this sort of golden dome or protective safety dome, as they call it. And so I have no issues at all about my safety, or dare I say anyone's really, because despite the fact that this has never been tested before, it's been a massive success.
Well, it has so far, and I think we've all learned a lot in the last few days. But we're starting to see some positive signs of, there are air corridors that are opening. There are some flights, not commercial flights yet, but chartered flights that are going in and out, and a fair number as well. So that, it's a very good sign, I guess. As to where this goes, I have absolutely no idea. I'm no military expert, but it feels as though there is so much to unpack, because the tentacles from events like this move in so many different directions. I wanted to kind of this morning talk to you about your most recent Dubai Property podcast, which is, did you record that on Monday? Was it Monday?
Yeah, it's recorded Monday. It came out Tuesday morning.
Yeah, okay. And just, run through some of the thoughts on there to see how you feel now. You've had a bit of time to digest some of the things you were talking about. So we'll come to that in a little while. But I mean, the caveat here is, what's ahead for the real estate market, and we can speculate, we can discuss, and use your many years of experience. I don't know how many years, but some years of experience. 10, 12, something like that.
42, actually.
Yeah, well, there you go. Without a day off as well.
Having said that, I mean, it's great experience, but it's experience of normality. None of us have really had to, at least I don't think any of us have had to really go through what we're currently going through. And it's that unknown that really is causing the everybody to hit the pause button, or to the wait and see. Everybody hopes that this is over quickly. Reality probably means that isn't going to be the case. It's more of a hope rather than anything else. But I do think that the way it's being handled here is very measured. And whilst the UAE always is able to say that they reserve the right to stand up and defend themselves, we are a nation of stability. We are a nation of resilience, and I don't necessarily believe that that the UAE will necessarily do anything to escalate things. It's I guess it's a bit like having a bully in a school. We're being slapped, and we're continuing to allow the slaps without it necessarily affecting us and without retaliating, which on one hand is a massive show of strength as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a fair point. I mean, the other side of this as well, the caveat is that we had the weekend and we're on Wednesday morning. What a 4 days just over it's been, Lots to talk about this morning, potentially slowing demand, effects on pricing, changes to the types of properties investors prefer, short-term versus long-term sentiment. If you have a question for Mario this morning, and I have a feeling there will be some questions, info@mira.fm or whatsapp.mira.fm should bring up the WhatsApp dialogue box. Let us know, and we'll put questions to Mario. I wanted to point out, Carl, if you're listening, that Mario has some new face furniture. Which I think I should throw in there. If you're unaware of what face furniture means, it will be revealed shortly. Let's start, though, Mario, with like a general, overall kind of sentiment and investor confidence comment from you. I know you're only back at work 2 days, but how have recent events affected investor confidence from what you see so far?
Well, look, it is too early to tell, and we've been working from home, so the only sort of contact I've had is through sort of the WhatsApp groups and calls from the office, etc. Yes, of course, there are some people who, from an off-plan point of view, have cancelled meetings, which is natural. They want to wait and see what happens. They want to make decisions later. We've continued actually to sell, which is very positive. From Saturday right the way through till yesterday, we have messages in the WhatsApp group congratulating people when a deal is done. So it shows that there are still people out there who are taking this in a measured way. They're not taking it lightly, and I don't think anybody should take it lightly. However, they need to put it into context. We are not at war with anybody, as in UAE is not at war with anybody.
No.
We are, unfortunately, in between situations, which clearly is going to cause some issues for the real estate market, because there will always be that investor or that individual who makes a knee-jerk reaction. I think some of the comments have been completely over the top. And it's people who don't understand. I mean, you yourself have had people contacting you. I have too. People I've not heard of for a long while. Saying, how are you? That you're in the middle of a war zone. Well, we're not.
No.
Life still goes on. I still went to watch Chelsea lose to Arsenal on Sunday. More about that later, perhaps.
So that's 17 minutes past 9. Well done.
Well, I didn't want to bring it up, but there you go. So what I'm trying to say is life still goes on. We have to put a brave face on it, and we have to be measured. If we all ran around like headless chickens, the whole thing would just collapse as far as I'm concerned. We have a beautiful country with great leaders who are protecting us, and as a result, I think we should just give them the respect and carry on as best we can. And the message that I would definitely say to investors is to wait and see, and not to necessarily press a button to sign something if they're not comfortable. We're not here to push people into buying something they don't want to buy at a time they don't want to buy it. That I understand. But to literally understand the situation, how are we dealing with it? And what are the potential consequences? Honestly, I think that when this is over, whenever that will be, we will be much stronger. I really believe that. It will take time, and the real estate market probably will take a bit of a hit. I think hospitality will take more of a hit, unfortunately, because that's then about holidaying rather than an investment.
Yeah.
Now, investments, as we know, go up and down, whereas holidays, you're expecting them always to be absolutely amazing and fantastic, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think the hospitality side of things will probably take more of a hit. But I have no qualms at all that we will come out of this much, much better. It's that period in between that's the unknown right now, especially as we've never had to deal with what we've had to deal with. And even last night, you heard a couple of loud bangs, but beforehand, you naturally thought, oh my goodness, that's an explosion, something's been hit. But now, because I understand it more, when I hear a loud bang, I'm going, amazing, that's actually an air defense system.
Right. That's an interception.
Taking out the threat. So it's about understanding also what's going on around you too, whereas most people don't, and it's beyond our pay grade, obviously, and naturally you default to, oh my God, we're being bombarded.
Do you know, part of me, being a cynical soul, I looked at this and I thought, well, okay, short term, what does this mean for the real estate market? And obviously, want to ask you that this morning. Part of me thought, was there always going to be a slowdown this year? Some people think that's the case. Others are a little bit more bullish. Does this hasten a slowdown that was inevitable anyway? And does it potentially mean that, the comeback from that could be a little bit faster? I just wonder how these things work.
Well, look, like anything, nobody really knows. But if we're all throwing our hat in the ring with opinions, I agree that actually I think this year, perhaps from the summer onwards, would have seen a bit less of a frenetic real estate market. But I've always said that prices go down very slowly in Dubai, and they go up very quickly in comparison. So our job in that normal state of work, where it's cyclical, would be to contact owners to perhaps encourage them to drop their prices if things aren't selling.
Yeah.
And that has always been the job of the agent to do that. The owner, the landlord, etc., is always very reluctant to do that. But of course, depending on why they're selling or why they're renting will determine their strategy in their pricing. And I've said before that the asking prices of properties, when you compare them to the selling prices, are always there's a big gap there. The asking prices are always 10, 15, perhaps even 20% higher than what they end up selling for. So that just goes to show that people are trying their luck with the asking price. And some obviously are getting away with it, and others are still having to take an offer. But it is definitely a mindset that they don't like, the owners do not like dropping prices. So that's what we would have had to do. Now, I think that has certainly, the situation, if you like, will help that conversation, because now there's a genuine reason why potentially prices may have to come down, because it's just simple economics. If there are less buyers around, then clearly, prices will have to come down. But on the other side of the coin, I want to say that within these last 2 or 3 days, I have had many people call me or message me asking me to let them know when there's some good deals out there because they're ready to buy.
Well, I can imagine.
You've always got those opportunists. So I think unless developers jump on that bandwagon from the point of view of offering sweeteners, maybe DLD waivers, more aggressive payment plans, or something to entice the off-plan buyer not to run away, you will find that it'll then be the secondary market, I think, that probably will wake up quicker than the off-plan. Or should I say continue, not necessarily wake up, continue along that veins, because then you're discussing with a specific seller, one person, whereas obviously off-plan, they are developers. They only look at margins. They don't necessarily look at emotions, whereas a seller will have emotions attached to strategy of selling and pricing, etc. So it's probably easier to talk to a secondary market seller than it is to convince the developers that actually they might need to act to entice possibly people not to go away or not to buy, and to actually stay in and continue looking at the investments that are still very much there. My take probably will be that developers will not launch as many projects as we've been talking about. I think a few weeks ago we mentioned that there was a property launch every 13 and a half hours, which is ludicrous. So you're talking about sort of 2 a day. I think that definitely will slow down. I think it needed to as well, because the market did need to take a pause and to catch its breath. We didn't need this reason for it, to be honest with you. We didn't want this reason. But I tried to look at the positives in all scenarios, that whilst we're going through this period of uncertainty, I maintain that when we all come out of it, and we will, the landscape, yes, will be slightly different, and it will take time for that sentiment to come back, especially from a hospitality point of view, but I think we'll be fine.
You can only look at what presents itself to you at any one time. It's interesting that you say you have people looking for deals at the moment, because there's two ways of looking at this, and it really depends on what kind of investor you are. With every crisis, there's an opportunity, and with every opportunity, perhaps there's a potential crisis. But I'm not surprised, to be honest, that you're getting those calls. Yeah,
look, I mean, like anything, when they always say buy the dip,
exactly.
if you're talking gold, silver, which or Bitcoin, they move very quickly up and down. Real estate doesn't move that fast. And honestly speaking, like I've said before, with the way sellers are, I don't think that we're looking at prices crashing down at all. I mean, that's what people are wanting. And it's not going to be like that.
Well,
I really don't think so.
I use the word slowdown there, and I think that's not the right word, really, is it? I mean, correction's not really the right word. But because we've seen so much activity, and real estate, I mean, I don't know how to put it into words, but at some point, and you've said this yourself, there has to be a little bit of respite, doesn't there?
Yeah, there does. And what we'll probably show is, look, we maintained this bull run for a while, and what bucked the trend really was the fact that the population growth continued. It remains to be seen whether those numbers will start to slow down. Now, if they do, then clearly that is going to have an effect on housing. Originally, you've got people coming here who would rent. There's going to be a lot of inventory coming to market later on this year, which I've always said would probably soften the rental prices a little bit, or ask landlords to be a little bit more flexible. Sales, you've got to remember that a lot of these projects, they were already bought anyway. They've all sold out. So it's only, dare I say, the rental market, whether it's long-term, short-term, or whether somebody's just going to keep something empty. But if population numbers start to slow down, then I think we will have an effect on the overall real estate market, because that's what was keeping that bull run going, as I said.
Yeah.
That fear of missing out, that FOMO, which we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, I think will clearly disappear. There are still going to be some great deals out there. There's still a lot of business to be done. But when the sentiment is gone the other way, that's where agents really have to become advisors to people rather than salespeople. And I think a good agent, if they can talk to their clients and sort of calm them down and really show what is going on here, I think the fallout will be, I'm going to say minimal, but it'll be a lot less than what people are expecting.
We have a comment this is on the stream from Superhands3422.
Oh,
there you go. There's a handle. Can we expect end of the season earlier? Not sure.
You're talking football now.
It seems like it might be. Where will Chelsea end up?
Yeah.
Rent prices wise, since one new is coming to the city. So I guess Hans is maybe thinking of coming here or has got a date for coming here, and wants to understand what rent prices might do. I think that's what he's
I've said before that with all this inventory coming on, I've just alluded to it right now, that rental prices will have to soften in certain areas, and it won't be across the board. I mean, we're not talking a certain percentage over the whole thing. No, some will be more reductions than others. Some will stay the same. Some will continue to go up because it's from a scarcity point of view. However, that is then driven by the number of people that are coming over. People like this gentleman here, if he's still coming, he's going to take a unit, whether it's a villa, townhouse, or an apartment. He will take one stock out of the pool. Yep. So if that continues, then we will just see a gradual reduction in prices, mainly due to the number of units coming in, which are going to be greater than possibly the number of people looking to rent. Because the people that are coming to live here aren't all just renting. Some are going straight in to buy. So I maintain that population growth is going to be a big driver as to see where the property market goes. But I do believe rental prices probably will soften later this year, so you should be fine.
Super Hans, hopefully that answers your question. If you've got another question for Mario, let us know. If you have a question for Mario, info@mira.fm or whatsapp.mira.fm, or you can comment on social media, however you want to do it. Just search Mira Business FM. Let me ask you this. You've had some really positive signs over the last couple of days. People getting in touch, people going through with transactions. What do you expect in the next week or two? If I had that nice crystal ball that sometimes I roll out and place in front of you, what was your first thought at the weekend?
Well, my first thought, as I said, I was angry at what was unfolding because I knew that the market would react in this certain way. You've got to remember that we are selling to a lot of foreign buyers, and by that I mean people who aren't actually living at the moment in the UAE. So these people have a perception of the UAE, which, broadly speaking, is probably correct. But there are many people who have a perception of the UAE that is totally incorrect, especially the ones that are reaching out to us now to see if we're okay, and how is it in the war zone, as they would say. And then we have to politely inform them that everything's fine in that respect. I was having a strong debate with my cousin from Italy. He was sending me messages saying, when are you going to leave? Because bombs are raining down on your head. And I said, well, that's probably just what you're hearing, but that's not the case at all. So it's really important to send out the right message, and I think the government is right to say, not to spread things unless they are verified by government forces here or entities here. So because we are selling to foreign nationals, if you like, it is natural that they are going to react in this way. So you're saying what's going to happen in the next week or so? I think because of the uncertainty, not a lot, to be very honest with you. People are not going to necessarily make that decision to buy, an off-plan property specifically. I'm talking about people outside, investors now. They are going to want to wait and see what transpires. I always say fortune favors the brave, and it's the early responders are the ones that actually benefit, whether they get into a new project before everyone else. I was talking again about Jumeirah Garden City to an investor only yesterday. A UK doctor who has invested here before and has done really, really well and is now wanting to come back in. Okay. So it's quite ironic that he wants to make that call to me whilst we're going through all of this. But that just shows you that there are so many different types of people. The majority of people will sit on their hands and wait and see. But there will be people who will see this as an opportunity. And I think as long as agents, brokers do the right thing, and as I mentioned before, become advisors and consult and speak with some authority. And I'm not talking about just these 19, 20-year-olds that have just turned up from the UK who think they know everything already. I'm talking about not necessarily people like me, but people who have had some experience in the marketplace, and people who know what they're talking about and got the right facts.
Yeah.
Advise your clients. It is not right to make knee-jerk reactions, but it is also natural that they do, because that's just human nature. And it'll be those people, I suppose, that do withdraw from deals based on what they believe is correct. And again, it's their belief. I can't say it's wrong, but history has certainly shown that whilst we've never gone through this, we've always benefited from conflict, because the UAE does bounce back. We have everything in place, and we know what we need to do. And we've been doing an amazing job leading up to this, and none of this is our fault, but we will deal with it. So I think, in answer to your question, not a great deal is going to happen. But as long as agents continuously keep in touch with their clients, explain what's happening literally on an hour-by-hour moment, and explain what the UAE government is doing. We know what they're doing, but getting that message out there that the residents, tourists, everybody is safe. When you consider the number of projectiles that have been sent to the UAE, I am astounded at the small loss of life. I mean, any loss of life is terrible. But the fact that only, I understand, 3 people have lost their lives through perhaps falling debris, etc. And again, that's not something that it's of our doing. So as I say, the government has to be applauded in what they're doing, and that's why I'm not packing up. That's why I'm saying to everybody, no. I mean, as some people may know, my wife's in the UK, my family there, and they are concerned for me. Okay, rightly so. But I explain that I'm actually okay. I sleep well at night. The only thing that woke me up was that audible alarm, which I think woke all of us up to let us know, that things are potentially happening in not in a good way. But I have every faith in this in our leaders, basically, and I know that in time, as I said before, we will come out of this okay.
Well, there are some lessons that have been learned, because Dubai's been through shocks before, the financial crash, for example. There have been geopolitical shocks before. I mean, flights were, was it back in July, when these big bunker busting bombs were dropped, for example. Things came back a lot quicker then, obviously. So there is precedent for this, and I'm wondering how you feel that this compares, or what lessons we have learned that we can apply here.
Yeah, look, we can say that, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, we have benefited from crises, etc. But the difference this time is that we've never had to deal with missiles at us, and that's what's so different about it this time. Yeah. So I think it will take a little bit longer to bounce back, but bounce back we will. And when you look at what happened a couple of years ago in April with the floods, again, that was, I'd never seen that before. And yet, although it was more of a domestic situation, and I don't think, fortunately, anybody lost their lives or anything like that, but it certainly was a disruption to businesses, et cetera, et cetera. And so from that point of view, we dealt with that really, really well. Now, this is obviously completely at the other end of the spectrum. I'm not likening being bombarded to just a bit of rain. Please don't misunderstand me there. What I'm just trying to say is that whenever crisis happens, we deal with it in a very measured way. We deal with it in a very positive way. And whilst we are going through it, it's obviously difficult, potentially also financially difficult, but we do come through it in the end. So, like I say, I don't want to sound like I'm a government minister, but I am extremely confident that the leaders of the UAE, whether of all the 7 Emirates, who are all affected by this, will do the necessary to ensure that we get out of this as quickly as possible and return to some sort of normality, which obviously will take time. But as long as we keep doing the things correctly, the world will see that actually Dubai is a great place to be, and despite all of this, it's still a safe place to live in.
I think that holds, but it is about the response, isn't it? Questions for you this morning. This is Chriselle here. Mario, good to listen to you now. I have a one-bedroom apartment in Dubai. Theoretically, if ever we are sent back to our home country, what happens to the property?
When she says sent back, surely that's just a personal choice.
I guess that's it's just phrasing, isn't it? There, but if there was a reason to leave for an extended period, what happens to the property?
Well, the property, look,
it's yours, I guess.
The property's yours. Yeah, I mean, if you bought it and there's no finance on it, then you don't have to worry at all. Other than, did you leave the AC on, or hopefully you left in a way that you were able to.
Don't leave the AC.
on. Things happen. Obviously, that's what maintenance is there for.
Yeah.
But if you have a mortgage on the property, then as long as you continue to pay the mortgage, and the property will be yours, in perpetuum, I guess. So I don't fully understand the question, because she even says we have to leave for an extended period of time. Even, what does that mean? A year? 2?
Well, that was me. I mean, that's my impression from it. So, okay. I guess Chriselle's saying if things, if there's a reason that I needed to, maybe she's thinking if I needed to evacuate, for example.
Okay, look, if things escalate even further, and then everything I've said just doesn't mean anything, then of course your safety is paramount, and you must do what you must do. The property cannot get up and leave. It's still going to be there. And you will have documented paperwork, assuming you take that with you, to prove that the property is yours. So, nothing's going to happen to it, and hopefully, whatever's going on finishes quickly, and therefore she can come back. And then, if she decides never to come back to Dubai to live here, she always has the option to then sell the property.
Yeah, Chriselle, I hope that answers your question. Benito texts to you, Mario. Do you project a dip in property prices or rents in areas near US affiliated areas like Jebel Ali Port, the US Consulate, Abu Dhabi? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, in terms of location, it's a good question, because obviously, according to the Iranians, they're only targeting American installations. But what has been shown is that's not been the case, unfortunately. Now, whether they are stray missiles or not, who knows? But someone's got to put coordinates in at the front end, I would have thought. So I think in depending on how many people decide this is not where they want to live, will determine on what house prices do. Not necessarily specifically, I think, in areas that he's mentioned. Because I think the whole of Dubai is a strategic place. Does that mean, the airport, living near the airport, does that mean those prices are going to go down? First of all, it's too early to tell exactly what's going to happen. But I would not imagine that prices will come down because of the location. For me, if prices were to move downwards, it would just be a supply-demand scenario.
Zenny text, you guys talking about football at the start of the segment makes me think that we're generally safe.
Well, look, I want to say one thing. I mean, we talk about football in here purely and simply because I'm a crazy Chelsea fan,
and because you shoehorn it in at every opportunity.
Well, there is that too. But,
brilliantly. But
I want to say that we're not making light of the situation here. And I hope people don't see it that way. We're not making jokes, or we're not making anything like that. We're just trying to, I guess, deflect the conversation a little bit, to lighten the mood a little bit. Well, lighten it if you're an Arsenal fan, and dampen it if you're a Chelsea fan, obviously.
Uh-huh.
But no, she's right. We're talking about other things, whether it be football or anything else, because I maintain that I do feel safe here. And I'm not just saying that as a person who always tried to talk the market up. I'll talk the market wherever the market is going. Half the time it is all speculation, based on what we know. The reality is nobody knows what's going to happen. And so if she does feel also safe because of that conversation, well, then that's good.
And bonus, indeed. Let me ask you this. What are developers telling you about footfall, about inquiries, about buyer sentiment? What's the gossip around the water cooler kind of thing?
Honestly, it's too soon to tell.
Nothing really.
I mean, it's a great question, Tim, and I think that's a question that perhaps we should ask, in the days or perhaps weeks to come. We have been working from home on Monday and Tuesday. The only contact I have had is through WhatsApps. Developers have cancelled iftars and sahurs that were due today. Funnily enough, there were supposed to be 2 today, which I was supposed to go. Well, it's answered one thing, because I was wondering how to go to 2 sahurs in one day. That's answered that. They've both been cancelled, so that's okay. So that's the only thing that I have seen. There's been messages from developers to the groups that safety is paramount to everybody, and ensure that we do stay safe and don't take any unnecessary risks. So the sentiment is out there from them that, look, let's take it easy, guys. So in the days and weeks to come, we might see, like I have sort of predicted, that projects may take a bit of a back seat. If they were going to launch something this week, they're not going to launch it this week, that's for sure. That will be deferred. But it really is too early to say exactly what the sentiment of the actual developers are, other than what I've just described now.
Yeah, it's just new territory, isn't it?
Yeah.
In every way. Lee, Michael, Mario, what's the situation on the ground? I saw an Insta post. Don't bother with Insta posts. Saying that property buyers are backing out. Is it true?
Well, again, I'm going to say that it's too early to tell exactly where we're going with this. It is true that some of my brokers have told me that people who had arranged Zoom meetings to discuss about real estate, to discuss about especially off-plan projects, it's true that those ones have cancelled those, or at least postponed those meetings. They don't want to hear about a project, clearly, because the focus now is more upon where we're going rather than where we were. That's why I'm saying to all my advisors, to all my brokers, to be advisors. Today I have a meeting with them to try and explain to them, I do not want to hear anybody trying to sell anything. I think now is not the time to do that at all. And there will be brokerages that will follow that line. There'll be other brokerages that will say, no, business as usual. If you have a buyer, press ahead. Of course, if someone is calling me saying, Mario, I want to buy this property and I want to buy it today, of course I'm going to continue and do a deal with that person. It is their choice at the end of the day. It's not up to me or my brokers to pressurize anybody or persuade anybody to buy at this moment in time. That shows the measure of the brokerage. If they're doing that, then steer well clear, because then clearly they're not interested in you as an individual. Most brokerages will tell you that they're interested in you as a buyer who will continue to buy. Yes, a client for life, not just for that one deal. Well, now's the time to explain that to people and to say that you're here to answer any questions they have. Dialogue has to be out there. We have to reach out to our clients, first of all, to ensure that what they're thinking is correct and what they believe is going on in Dubai is correct. And I would say 8 or 9 times out of 10, what they're thinking is going on here is not going on here.
Yeah.
And so we have to educate people, again, due to who we are and how we react to these scenarios, that the world understands the measure of who the Emirates are. And to have defense systems that only 4 other countries in the world have, I'm astounded, definitely. But once we've reached out to people, these individuals will obviously have questions. And I want my agents, my brokers, or indeed anybody to explain to the other person and talk in facts and what we know, without necessarily making too much conjecture, without making too many predictions. I mean, obviously, people here are writing in asking for my opinion. I'm happy to give an opinion, doesn't mean it's correct.
Sure.
So as long as we entertain that dialogue, that level of communication, I think investors will understand that actually Dubai isn't what they're thinking it is today, and that they should revisit it, if not, next week or whatever, but when the dust settles.
This is a time for client servicing, for reassuring, for reaching out and explaining the real situation on the ground, isn't it?
That's right.
That's the point. I mean, you consistently said that all morning. Andy texts in, sorry if the question is stupid. Andy, I've asked a million stupid questions, so it's probably not. But I plan to move to an apartment, but this situation happened. Is it still a good time to move now in terms of price, rent, or should I wait? My friend told me rent could be negotiated now, but I'm hesitant to ask my agent.
Well, first of all, I would say never be hesitant at all. I mean, at the end of the day, if you've got access to a certain amount of funds, and you want to move with those funds, then use it to your advantage. Like I said,
it's don't try, don't get.
Well,
isn't it?
absolutely. Like I've said, I've got people contacting me saying, well, they're using the word distress. I always think that's a very emotive word. Mm-hmm. What they're saying is, are there any good deals? Because there will be some sellers who have decided, that's it. But they've built, they've taken years to build up the stock of their real estate. I doubt at all that there's going to be these distressed deals, because like I've said before, even during times of crises, Dubai takes ages to come down in prices. Yep. And it's only because the agents are persuading or calling the sellers, you really need to drop your price. You think you should be looking at this price rather than this price. They don't listen to us anyway at the best of times, yet alone now. So
I listen to you.
Well, you're very kind, but the majority of sellers have their own agenda. Sure. So what I would say to this gentleman here is, like I said before, if you don't try, you don't know. It might be a bit too soon, first of all, to actually see prices differing today to when they were on Saturday morning, let's say. Give it a little bit of time. If he's looking to buy, then he can really time that properly. If, however, he's looking to rent, then normally that's bound by either what's happening wherever he's living or a job or something. There's always a timeline attached to that. Yeah. But if he's looking to buy, I would say take your time, do your research, there should be some decent options out there.
There should be. I was just thinking, I don't know if Carl is watching or listening today. Carl is a fan of your...
I should put them on.
Facial furniture.
There you go.
These are good, actually.
Well, they kind of go with the sort of blue theme.
With the blue and they match the watch.
The watch, yeah.
You're very coordinated.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
I've even got blue underwear.
And that's so unnecessary.
But shall I tell you, it's actually Chelsea underwear. I've got what I call the lucky pants.
Do you have?
Yes.
Okay,
it's a thing. It's a thing in the UK.
They're playing tonight, aren't they?
That's right. So sorry for those who have been offended, but I just thought it was hilarious to perhaps end this interview on a funny note that I'm wearing my lucky pants.
Yes. What's the phrase that we use when people come up with things like that? TMI, is it?
Oh, is it? Okay.
Too much information.
They were clean. I mean,
No, I never let that be said. Do you go for the Chelsea socks as well? On
I have had.
I bet you've had.
I have had Chelsea socks, and in fact, the mega store sells Chelsea socks, and they call them lucky socks. So some people have pants, some people have socks. John Terry actually used to have a ritual. He was the captain of Chelsea, and he used to have a ritual. I can't even remember what it was now, but he if he didn't do that ritual, then it was like bad luck.
Okay.
I have a similar thing, apart from obviously wearing these things. For my sins, I smoke a cigar or two whilst I'm watching the game. And if I don't, then we don't play very well. It hasn't worked recently.
No, I was going to say, so maybe don't have the cigar?
Yeah, maybe not.
Life, small pleasures and all of that. Carl, I haven't heard from Carl today, but Alia says, who's Carl? You always mention him. Haha, nice glasses anyway.
Thank
so
you.
there you are.
Thank you.
That's a bonus. Mario Volpi, it's always good to talk to you. I appreciate you being here. It's good to speak to you to get a feeling of positivity as much as anything else, I think, because it's a good thing to hear, particularly at the moment.
Yeah, look, I want to be measured. I'd like to think I am measured.
You are.
It's not great out there, but I have high optimism that we will be fine, and I just hope that this situation doesn't last too long, and that we get back to normality.
So common sense prevails. Mario Volpi, Senior VP, Investment Advisory, Allegiance Real Estate, one of the voices of the Dubai Property Podcast, and also a weekly columnist for the national newspaper as well. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. It's Mirror Business FM.